Hello everyone and welcome to week 5 of The Artist's Way. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't film at all this week. It is actually day 1 of week 6 right now. Life just kind of lifed, you know? But this week was actually called Recovering a Sense of Possibility, which I'd kind of forgotten, to be honest. I obviously did read the book, I've done some tasks. My artist date this week was filming a gaming video because I've not had time really for that in weeks, so I carved out the time, so to say, which was really fun, obviously. And I could do that anytime, but you know, this is kind of what the point of this is, like kind of giving me the reason and the mindset to be like, I can just make time for that, you know? But yeah, it's just interesting. I'm just sort of flicking through the chapter and it speaks about like limits and what limits do you place on yourself, and you know, there's this constant through line in this of like, if you are stuck in a place, what benefit does that have for you? Like, is there any benefit to being stuck in this space, whatever it is, or is it literally just comfort, maybe? Then it speaks about finding the river, which essentially is sort of like, okay, we've been working, we've been building from the ground up. Now it's like trying to like basically just find the flow, right? It's a good metaphor. Kind of like, now you've put in the work, are you able to sort of let the journey sort of just, you know, I mean, obviously it speaks about like letting God, you know, work through you or whatever, I'm not sure. Yeah, the shift to spiritual dependency. For me, not looking to be dependent, personally, but I get what it means. Actually, interesting, my eye has just been drawn to dependence on the creator within is really freedom from all other dependencies. So it kind of like, I've really noticed throughout this book that clearly, I'm pretty sure Julia Cameron is clearly a very spiritual person, maybe religious in a more structured way, I don't know. But there is often references to it being like, it's kind of easy to read a lot of these chapters and think of that creator, God, what have you that is mentioned, is sort of like you, like your, you know, your bit of your brain that isn't conscious kind of thing. That's how I've been viewing it, mostly. And actually, God, I didn't even realise, this actually just works with what I was saying about my artist date this week. The next section was called The Virtue Trap, and basically is talking about how a lot of people can be very sort of selfless, which is good, but to the extent where they never make time for themselves, which isn't me. I would never say that's me, really. I can be that way, but I don't know that I ever get stuck in it for long periods of time, which I think is, you know, everyone has times where they're more focused outwards than inwards, you know. But yeah, that literally me this week being like, okay, I am so busy all the time. I've been doing so much. It's been a crazy week. So I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna do my like randomized artist date thing. I really wanna do some gaming, make a YouTube video. But yeah, I definitely was doing that sort of carving out time for yourself kind of thing, which I think has been mentioned throughout the book, but I think that's sort of what was being got to here. Like, are you putting others before yourself to the extent of like self-destruction sort of thing, which I wasn't. But you know, just I think obviously the point is to nip it in the bud before it gets there, right? I did find some of the tasks, even the ones that come before the technical task section, sometimes they're like written into the paragraph. There's one it's one quick way to ascertain the degree of drift is to ask yourself the question, what would I try if it weren't too crazy? So essentially, how far have you drifted from your path, from what you want? All trying to aid this idea of, are you being self-destructive? And was I just being difficult with the question? I don't know. But I could only really think of things. It's like, I'm not trying them because they're so crazy in the sense of like skydiving. I don't want to try that because I think it's genuinely too crazy. There's part of me that goes, that might be fun. But it's too, like, that's not really me. But that's not like oh, there's no time for myself, it's too expensive. It's just, you know, and I could only really think of things like that. There are a couple of things I think I did come to, but overall, I don't know, some of these tasks really just weren't working for me this week. Yeah, another one, list 10 things you love and would love to do but are not allowed to do. So basically things that you don't allow yourself. I don't have a lot of those. I basically just do whatever I want. To an extent, of course, but I'm pretty good at following the heart's fire, you know. Yeah, and I did work through the main tasks as well, but I just found a lot of them not working for me, but I did my best to answer the ones that I could, you know. All right, so I'm gonna do my check-in with you guys now. I've not like written it down or anything yet. I'll do that later, but for now I'm just gonna read it and see. I'm presume they're the same questions as always. How many days this week did you do your morning pages? 7 out of 7. Are you starting to like them at all? I've liked them the whole time. She's a very negative writer. How was the experience for you? Have you discovered the page and a half truth point yet? Many of us find that Oh, so it's basically saying about you sort of write like a page and a half of just like rambling, and then you starting to get to the deep stuff. I actually feel like I was talking about this last week, where I do find that, I mean, some days I will just sort of yip yap, but then some days I'll start by being like, oh yeah, this has happened, or this is going to happen. And then I suddenly get into the feelings of it all. So yeah, that's been happening for me. I feel like I'm an open book with myself, girl. But yeah, so I really like doing the morning pages, to be honest. I've actually just finished my notebook that I got. So yeah, 5 weeks it took for me to finish my whole notebook. Because I have been writing down like the tasks and the check-ins and things. So yeah, need to get a new book today. Did you do your artist date this week? Have you had the experience of hearing answers during this leisure time? What did you do for your date? How did it feel? Have you taken an artist date yet that felt very adventurous? So, let's see. Yes, obviously I did my artist date. We spoke about that. I don't know that I've been hearing answers. Don't know. That feels not in keeping with my experience, unfortunately. And I really do feel like that may have come up more like last week when I was spending hours like tidying, sorting out these rooms, making my spaces in silence because it was reading deprivation week. You really think if anything was going to come up, it would have come up then, but I really found my brain being actually quite quiet in those times. So that's obviously good in its own way, but it does mean I was not having these answers. Like I said, did the gaming, really enjoyed it. I don't think I've done anything very adventurous yet though. Things that have maybe been a bit different for me, like with the playlist thing and stuff, but overall, no, nothing super adventurous. I don't know what I would do adventurous wise. Although actually I will be coming back to that. You know what, I'm actually I'll just speak about this now, I think. This week though, which actually I found really interesting, when I opened this book just before I started recording, I saw that the week was called That Sense of Possibility. And I was like, oh, that really kind of lines up with the week I've had. So essentially, me and James were planning on going traveling next year. So plans were like sort of slowly starting to process. We were like, oh, we should start looking at flights, this is that. And then one day this week, we were sat there and we were like, it actually makes vastly more sense to go in September, like in 2 months' time. Like, it makes financial sense, it just is more exciting, we don't have to put it off, like it actually makes more sense. And that was like you know what, the only reason we were putting it off was just because we felt like it wasn't possible. Or not even necessarily possible, but just it felt like it was too impulsive. Like, you can't just like go on a really big trip like so last minute. But the possibilities have possibilitied, if you will. So yeah, that really struck me. I was a bit like, oh, that has actually almost been a theme of the week, coincidentally, has been this opening up of possibilities. We are booked to go out to Japan in September, and then we will be going elsewhere from then. I'm thinking I might do some vlogging while we're out there. So if that is of interest to you and you are not already subscribed, please subscribe. There's going to be some fun travel content coming up, which I think is really cool. And yeah, just very excited for that. And then the next question is, which is why I thought actually I'll speak about this now. Did you experience any synchronicity this week? What was it? And then it actually suggests try inaugurating a conversation on synchronicity with your friends, which is interesting. That actually seems like a interesting thing. I don't know if maybe I mentioned that. I was speaking to my friend Anna recently about the artist way, but I don't remember if the synchronicity thing came up. I think it might have. So actually that might be a fun thing to gab about at some point. But this is one thing. Again, is this really about creativity and things like that? Maybe not. I feel like all of my synchronicities haven't necessarily felt that way, but maybe that's life telling me that actually creativity in the sort of more regular sense of like art and all those things is maybe not my path right now. Who knows? But yeah, it was just, we literally booked our trip to Japan and we're planning on going to Thailand, maybe Vietnam, like we're not sure. But literally next day I opened up my laptop and it's one of those things where like on the lock screen, it always has like a random sort of stock image kind of thing. And it was literally a photo of like pagodas in Japan. And there was, sometimes it comes up with like news or like articles. And one of them was for like an event or something that was like called A Taste of Thailand. And I was literally just looking at the screen like, I was like, that's actually crazy. Literally like we booked it at night. The next morning I open up my laptop and that's what's waiting for me. I was like, whoa, that just felt very coincidental. I don't know. I've just realized that maybe it's like a computer listening to you kind of thing. I don't know about the image, but maybe, I don't know. But I can see, I guess, if I was looking up anything. Oh no, I did all of my ticket booking on incognito actually. So in theory, that shouldn't have happened, but maybe. But it did just make me go, whoa, maybe I'm doing the right thing. Like, you know, it is really nice. Like, that's one of the biggest things I've actually taken from this book is I do find myself seeing things happening and going, just feeling some comfort, I guess, in the fact it's like, do I necessarily think it's a sign from the universe? Maybe not, but just something about making that big sort of almost scary decision to book the trip and then being like, oh, and there's this image that brings me so much excitement. And, you know, even a mention of another country that we're maybe going to go to. It's like, I was just like, oh, wow. Like, that's sort of just, not necessarily that was what solidified it was a good choice, but it was a nice moment, is what I'm going to say. But yeah, I have not found much synchronicity otherwise in more, like I say, more traditionally artistic routes. And then, were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? Describe them. I guess I would say kind of what I've already been speaking about. The fact it was such a busy week, I literally didn't even vlog for the whole week, which is one of the big creative things that I do and I'm doing along with this journey. But with the artist day, I did carve out that time. And I guess for me, like, the issue was I feel like I've got absolutely no time that I would have otherwise had free became not free, which is absolutely fine. But I did also find that little, like, not even quite 2 hours, I think it was, but like, just to like set aside for myself, do something I've really wanted to be doing, which is something I guess I never do consciously. I usually just like find a decent little snippet of time that already exists. But yeah, so I think that is significant in its way. But yeah, so that was my little gab about week 5. Hey guys, coming to you from editing this video, I thought I would need to combine week 5 and week 6 to make this video long enough, but actually I gabbed long enough about week 5 and I actually ended up getting quite a lot of footage for week 6. So I'm gonna make them separate videos. But because I thought they were gonna be one video, I didn't have like an outro. So here's me just saying it's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I know obviously this week was a bit different because I didn't really film at all, but I thought it would still be nice to do a little video diary sort of situation. Also, sorry about this. That is freaky. I'm gonna close that. That's really freaky. That's too cursed. But yeah, so this one was shorter than usual, but that's because usually I talk a lot, so videos are long. But I hope you enjoyed this little, like I say, video diary situation. And next week we will be back, week 6, with much more content. I filmed a lot. Anyway, God, now I'm just yapping even more. Right, but thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all the things, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.